No, not really, no.
No.
It's well known that a lot of big brands use factories in countries and they pay their staff very little, so they can make more profit. Even making a pair of jeans, there is a lot of pollution involved in that. So if you can buy a pair of vintage, which look better anyway, you're not putting so much into that sort of polluting side of fashion. There's still this thing about wearing second-hand clothes with some people that that you should buy new, but new clothes now aren't particularly well made. Vintage clothes are made really well because obviously they're still here, whereas if you buy somewhere that sells fast fashion, you're lucky if it lasts a season.
Most of my clothes shops now are like Primark or shopping online like ASOS or something. So it's less vintage, like vintage or charity shops now.
I mainly shop at two main sources, Primark and Boohoo Man. I don't really care for any other sources because they're both cheap.
The fashion industry is 10% of the world's carbon emission, and sustainability is incorporated into our course by the Calico allowance. So we only get a specific amount of calico per term. For third years we get 10 metres, and for second years I think they get 5 metres. So it means that we have to really think about how we're using our calico in our garments and not wasting fabric or using fabric unnecessarily on samples. And then if you have any offcuts from your calico, they go into a calico bin, and it means that anybody can reuse them. I kind of wanted to do something where I felt like my creativity was expressed, and I've always been interested in clothes, just in general, but I had never touched a sewing machine until I got here.
I would probably buy new clothes, unless it's like a tiny little hole. Probably just leave it. But yeah.
I've learnt from friends who are more in sewing and things like that as hobbies or as jobs. I know the basics, but I'm not an expert. So I don't have a sewing kit to hand in my room.
I was employed to rework vintage clothes. Basically, we have very little waste. We handpick. If there are things that need repairing, I do that. Anything that we cannot do anything with, we donate to charity. That then will either be sold by the charity or they put it into something called rag, which is made into more fabric. I studied fashion, so I understood how garments worked. Even when I was studying, I was making garments out of things like tablecloths and recycled fabrics and stuff, so yeah. My mum taught me how to knit, my great auntie taught me how to sew. I was around creative people that enjoyed that sort of thing. Unfortunately now children spend so much time on screens. We found it fun learning how to knit, and we'd knit a scarf and stuff. Children don't get that now. I teach it in my classes because I'm an art teacher, but I also cover textiles. The children that I teach can't thread a needle, and it's really sad. I think that if we want to have a vibrant fashion industry in the future, whether it's using sustainable sources, we need to start young, because there's lots of people that can't even sew on a button and would rather bin a garment than sew on a button. That's really sad.
Oh, I probably wouldn't know how to sew them. I'd probably just, if my jeans got ripped, just use them to lay around the house and then wouldn't go out with them. I wouldn't go out and repair them probably. But then I also wouldn't go and just buy a new pair. I'd just use that pair to chill at home with, I guess.
I think if my clothes got ripped or broken, then I would stitch them up myself and fix them.
It was never really in our family to repair things. And yeah, I was never taught it as a skill, which I think people should be taught it as a skill in school by standard, because I was not taught it in school and I was not offered it in school either. So I think that has got a bit lost recently. But there's a huge uptake on it recently, and I think by 2029 it's meant to double from 2023. So it's getting there, but I think it should be introduced in schools, because I was never taught it. Unless your family teaches you it, you're not learning about it. So yeah. I definitely think that one person can make a difference, because you're kind of reducing your own thing, and through that as well you can create communities like mending workshops. There's a lot of third space things that are opening up that you can come along and redo your jeans or remend them. When we ran the Fashion Society in second year, we did a workshop that was kind of, you can come and embellish an old jacket if you want to, if you're a bit bored of it, and kind of in that way I think the individual can make a difference. But it is difficult, because if the big companies don't do anything, then it does feel a bit hopeless. It's like if you wash up a yogurt pot before you put it in the recycling, you're like, there's oil billionaires that are just really polluting the oceans and waterways. So it does feel a little bit like, what am I doing spending 20 minutes resewing this button on? Then I could just go to Primark and get a brand new one in 2 seconds. But I think it has to be more of a culture than an individualistic approach.